What's up, guys? Coming to you today with Week 8 college football action on a packed Saturday of NCAA football here on October 18th. We're going to cover a bunch of the biggest games of the day, and I'll give you my massive lock of the day and my favorite underdog pick of the day. So slam that like button and subscribe to the channel to make sure you keep seeing these videos every single day. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments. I personally read and answer every single comment I get. Check the pinned comment throughout the day to see our favorite picks, and you should definitely check back a couple of times throughout the day to see if there are any changes with injury news coming out and personnel changes coming in at the last second. In terms of results for yesterday, guys, still a lot to be decided. Unfortunately, we were on the wrong side of Miami there. A crazy straight up 24-21 loss there for the number 2 team in the nation. Carson Beck, an absolute implosion, getting picked off 4 times and single-handedly costing his team the game. The Miami defense didn't look amazing either in this one, and while Louisville is a decent team, it seems like the Hurricanes just did not show up at all here on Friday night. We stood at the under going in that Nebraska-Minnesota game, and pretty late in the game, we've only got 27 total points into the fourth quarter, so still looking very, very live on that. We've got the under in that North Carolina-Cal game. We'll see how that one goes. We cashed Freddie Freeman already to get a hit. That was an easy win. Feels like this guy's a lock to get a hit every single game. Didn't take him long in game 4, so like I said, a very, very easy cash for us on that one. We had the Brewers at plus 160 as our dog of the day, and they are not looking good. Looks like they're just going to get swept out of the playoffs, so that's pretty annoying. It was a pretty big underdog, obviously, and we were just playing a hunch that they wouldn't get swept, so that's going to be an annoying loss, and we have Utah State at -4, still live as our massive lock of the day. So let's see how those work out, guys. Also, lots still cooking on the premium side. We'll see how everybody ends up doing over there. Already looking like a very good NHL night once again for the premium members. So we'll recap all that, guys, but we're going to dive in here. We got a lot of college football action here on Saturday, and first up, we're going to be looking at one of the biggest games of the day. We've got number 10 LSU. They're going on the road to take on number 75 Vanderbilt. The Tigers come into this game 5-1 on the season, fresh off a 20-10 win there over South Carolina. So they're having a really good time. Obviously, that week 1 win against Clemson doesn't look nearly as good now as it did earlier in the season. They haven't had the toughest schedule. Their toughest game was probably that one at Ole Miss where they ended up losing 24-19 in their win over South Carolina. Not the toughest South Carolina Gamecocks team, I will say that. Nussmeier, not a great day. Picked off twice, 2 touchdown passes as well. The running game did well. Obviously, that wide receiver group looks great, but when you turn the ball over 3 times, you're going to leave the door open, regardless if your defense played amazing, like that LSU defense definitely did and definitely has this season. So we'll see how things go in this one. They've obviously got a very, very tough opponent here in the Vanderbilt Commodores, who just took their first loss of the season, a 30-14 loss there at number 10 Alabama in a game it was very, very much looking like they could have won. They were not fully in control, but right there in the mix there at halftime, and it just did not work out for them there down the stretch. They were up 7-0 in the first quarter, going into halftime tied, and then get outscored 16-0 in the second half. Pretty brutal. We were on the Commodores and the points in that one too, so that one stung a little bit extra. Pavia, not a great day, getting picked off once, only passing for 198 yards. The running game, though, looked very, very good. Pavia was doing a good job in the ground game, fumbling it away once and getting intercepted once. When you only generate 1 turnover of your own, that's going to make life a little bit tough. But obviously, playing there in Alabama, it doesn't get much tougher than that. So we'll see what they can do here playing at home in this one. Looking at the numbers, the Commodores, they're 1.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 48 in this game. LSU, they're 3-3 against the spread, 5-1 to the under. Vanderbilt, 4-2 against the spread, and they are 3-3 to the over-under. Guys, we'll be taking Vanderbilt in this one at -2.5. They didn't look amazing in the second half, especially in their recent loss there against Alabama. The Crimson Tide have been one of the top performing teams in the SEC over the past month, though, so that's a little bit excusable. Vanderbilt's offense has put up some huge performances in the last 2 home games, scoring 55 and 70 points respectively against Utah State and Georgia State. Vanderbilt has one of the most well-balanced teams in the nation, 19th in offensive output, 31st in total defense. We haven't been as high on LSU, and there's no denying the Tigers have underperformed expectations, even with their 5-1 record. LSU's offense has been far too inconsistent, 77th in the nation in yards per game. Although the score was close, LSU didn't look great in their recent road loss, falling there at Ole Miss 19-24. Until LSU can prove to themselves that they are better on the offensive side of the ball, we're going to be fading them here, especially against the tougher teams in the SEC. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Washington Huskies as they go on the road here to take on the Michigan Wolverines. Now, Washington, they're 5-1 on the season. Their only loss is to the number 1 team in the nation, that 24-6 loss against Ohio State. They got a very comfortable 38-19 win over Rutgers last week, and things are just looking pretty good for this Washington team. They're 2-1 in Big Ten play and looking pretty solid solid. We'll see what they can do in this one. Obviously, the offense has been great. Damon Williams Jr., 402 passing yards last week and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Also ran for 2 touchdowns and 136 yards on 13 carries. This offense can really, really get it done, especially Williams. He is just having an insane season out there. Now, he did fumble it away once, so a mistake that could be corrected, but overall, a great day from him. Defensively, giving up 19 points is not terrible. They did look a little bit vulnerable to the pass there and gave up 107 yards on the ground, so maybe not a monster performance there defensively, but overall, this Huskies team is looking very, very good. Now, they're about to be tested pretty severely here as they go on the road to take on the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan, they are now 4-2 on the season, unranked now. They lost their last game 31-13 there at USC, which obviously, pretty tough travel spot there for Michigan. We do have to mention that. In that game, things didn't really go their way at all. Underwood got picked off once, only passed for 207 yards, did have 2 passing touchdowns, so it wasn't a completely terrible day. Jordan Marshall was very productive there on the ground, so was Haynes, so they moved the ball pretty well, just didn't do a good job of getting into the end zone there, and defensively, it was not a good day, giving up 31 points. They did have 1 interception and 1 fumble recovery, but I guess the fact they came away with 2 turnovers there against only turning the ball over once themselves and still lost convincingly, maybe that's even more to be worried about. They also couldn't stop the run and really couldn't stop the pass either, so not a good day out there at all for Michigan. And now they come all the way back home, so we'll see what they can do in this one. They are 4.5-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 51 out there. Washington, they're 3-3 against the spread. They are 3-3 to the over-under. Michigan, 2-4 against the spread. They are 3-3 to the over-under themselves. Guys, this line has moved a little bit, but we're still going to be taking Washington here, getting 4.5 points. Michigan proved not to be as far along as we were expecting in their last outing, as the Wolverines were handled there by USC on the road, losing that one 31-13. Surprisingly, the Michigan defense looked pedestrian, giving up nearly 500 yards of offense to the Trojans in that convincing defeat. Washington has quietly been putting together a strong season, 5-1 overall. Their only loss against the Buckeyes, like we were saying. Washington and Michigan rank similarly on the defensive side of the ball, while Washington brings the offensive edge. They are actually 17th in the nation in yards per game. I think Michigan's defense potentially is going to have a hard time here slowing down Washington's dual threat quarterback, and we like Washington to stay competitive enough to at least get the cover, if not get the straight up win. Hey guys, hopping here with a quick shout out to the sponsor today and every day's video, and that is stumpthespread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and see the top confidence predictions from our entire team of experienced cappers. Right now, our premium members are getting daily NFL, NCAA football, MLB, UFC, and maybe most importantly right now, NHL hockey picks. NBA season is right around the corner. There will be NBA premium picks posted there in the premium section very, very soon. So you definitely want to get in on that. We're very, very excited to dive into this NBA season. It's going to be a big deal here on the channel. It's going to be a very big deal over there at stumpthespread.com. At stumpthespread.com, you'll be able to see exclusive free picks that are only posted there, so you don't have to go over there and spend money, guys. There's great resources over there absolutely for free. Those free picks are exclusively posted there and nowhere else. That's also where you'll be able to use our free-to-use bet size calculator, and of course, that's where you'll find our premium top confidence picks, which might not and usually will not always match what you see here in the videos, as I'm not the premium MLB, NCAA football, NFL handicapper over there at Stump the Spread. We've got a team of experts with a wealth of experience, well over a decade for every single guy over there that's a capper of his given sport. He's got more than a decade covering that sport. So definitely tons of experience over there. You want to get in on the mix. Premium coming off a massive day there on Friday. Now, tons still cooking here. A massive day on Thursday. Tons still cooking here on Friday. Now, on Thursday, I actually had one listed wrong. We had the Bruins plus 1.5, so that was actually a win. That capped off a 5-0 hockey day. Very, very bonkers. An 8-2 day across the board, printing tons of units. We had a 3-unit and a 2-unit hockey play, both of which cashed there on the 16th. So a monster day on the 16th. On the 17th, still an awful lot going on. The Capitals already came through as a win. We'll see if Minnesota plus 8.5. I mean, they're looking like they're probably going to straight up win that game in the NCAA football side. Cal minus 10.5. That game's still coming up. So actually, get in on that Cal one. We'll see what they can do. But overall, looking like a pretty solid premium day once again. So definitely want to get in on that. Things are, rolling along, running pretty hot right now on the premium side. Also, you got to go over there to stumpthespread.com and get on our free email list. It's a fantastic resource every single day. You just click the link in the description, That'll take you to stumpthespread.com. You click on that little login button and you set up a free account over there. All it asks for is your name and your email address. That is it. And you'll be on that email list. You'll get one email straight to your inbox every single day. It'll have at least one, oftentimes 2 or 3 free picks in it. There'll also be parlays in those emails, tons of information on niche sports betting like golf, NASCAR, all kinds of goods, tennis included in that as well. So definitely a great resource. And it's zero effort, guys. And there's also big write-ups coming for all the major sports, right around the corner, NBA write-ups, NHL write-ups, all kinds of good stuff like that. So definitely get in on that if you're interested. And also, if you're a huge fan of what you're seeing from us here every single day, click that little join button right below the video to sign up for a YouTube channel membership. YouTube channel members get early access to all of our videos, get their name up on screen in every single video, but maybe most importantly, get access to our members only giveaways. We give away a Stump the Spread hoodie here every single week. The next giveaway will be on the 20th. And the way we give those away, we put the name of every single YouTube channel member on a big wheel. We spin that wheel, and whoever it lands on gets a Stump the Spread hoodie mailed straight to their address. So definitely want to get in on that if you're interested, guys. The next giveaway is coming up here very quickly, but we're going to go ahead and dive back in. We've got a ton more games here to cover on a loaded college football Saturday. And next up, we're going to be looking at the Yukon Huskies as they go on the road here to take on the Boston College Eagles. Yukon comes into this game 4-2 on the season, fresh off of a 3rd straight win. Now, when you look at their strength of schedule, starts to lose a little bit of its pizzazz, I'll say. I mean, a 51-10 win over FIU, okay, congratulations on that. Their toughest games this season, I guess was against Syracuse and Delaware, and they lost both of those. So haven't been super hyped up with what I've seen here from the Huskies. In that 51-10 win, of course, all the statistics are going to look great. A great day from Fagano, and yeah, congratulations. You put up great numbers against a high school team. I'm not too impressed with what the Huskies are really doing right now. Like I said, they've done some positive stuff this year, but that's mostly taking care of business against very weak opponents. We'll see what they can do here going up against a real opponent. They're going to be taking on the Boston College Eagles, who are 0-4 in ACC play. They're only 1-5 on the season. They're coming off losing 41-10 there against Clemson. We'll see what they're able to do in this one. They played a very close game earlier this season against Michigan State. They barely lost against Cal, a very reasonable Cal team. So Boston College has shown the ability to hang tough with some teams. Will they be able to hang tough here against the Huskies? Will they be able to surprise them a little bit? We'll have to wait and see. Now, the Eagles, they didn't look great in that 41-10 loss. The quarterback play didn't look that shaky, but 1 interception, no touchdown passes isn't great. The running game, though, looked very light. Turbo Richard, 18 carries, 75 yards, and a touchdown against Clemson is very reasonable stuff. Plenty of mistakes there for Boston College to clean up in this one, I will say that. But, it's a huge step down in competition from going against the Clemson Tigers to now facing the Yukon Huskies. So, looking at the numbers for this game, guys. Boston College, they are 1.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 58 in this game. Yukon, they are 2-3-1 against the spread, 4-2 to the over. Boston College, 2-4 against the spread, 3-2-1 to the over. Guys, this might feel a little bit weird, but I'm going to take Boston College here at home at -1.5. I think they're better than their 1-5 record would indicate. Injuries and inconsistent play have definitely limited what they've been able to accomplish. After their competitive loss on the road against Michigan State, we were expecting better things from them, but that simply hasn't been the case, losing 5 games in a row now. This should be a much better opportunity here for Boston College to get back on track with a potential win playing at home against a more manageable opponent. Yukon is 4-2 overall, but they've played a much easier schedule than Boston College. Even with the easier slate of opponents, Yukon still ranks 83rd in the nation in total defense. I think the Eagles are going to be able to take advantage and have a better offensive showing than we've seen from them over the past month of action. Definitely take the home team to bounce back with the win and cover. Next on the docket, guys, we're going to be looking at the Troy Trojans as they go on the road to take on the UL Monroe Warhawks. Now, the Trojans are 4-2 on the season. They've won their last 3 in a row, taking down Buffalo, South Alabama, and Texas State. A 48-41 win over Texas State. Their only losses this season have been against Memphis and a close game there at Clemson. So I've liked a lot of what I've seen from Troy this season. In that 48-41 win, they're in overtime over, a tough Texas State team, and they were on the road for that one as well. A lot of positives. The passing game just looked nuts. 415 yards and 5 passing touchdowns, completing 30 of 39 passes. It doesn't get much better than that. The running game didn't get a lot of action, but man, the wide receiver group had a monster day. The quarterback play looked amazing. A lot of positives there on the offensive side of the ball for Troy. Now, defensively, they did give up 41 points, but didn't allow a passing touchdown. They did really struggle against the running game, but you got to give up something, I suppose. And not like Troy is necessarily a defensive monster, but really have liked what we've seen from the Trojans in general, this season, and what we saw from them last week. Their season-long numbers don't look terrible either, so we see what they can do here on the road here against the UL Monroe Warhawks. They're 3-3 on the season. They just lost to Coastal Carolina. They got blown out by Northwestern the week before. They lost 73-0 against Alabama. Like, this team's wins have come against some pretty weak competition. And last week against Coastal Carolina, things did not go well. Quarterback play looked very uneven, only completing half of his passes and getting picked off once. The running game looked okay, but definitely not amazing. And the defense looked absolutely terrible. Could not stop the run at all. The passing game really for Coastal Carolina is non-existent, but still they gave up a passing touchdown. So, yeah, not a great day there for UL Monroe, and they haven't had a lot of great days this season. So, looking at the numbers, guys, we see the Warhawks are getting 5.5 points at home. We've got a total of 47 in this one. Troy, 4-2 against the spread, 3-3 to the over-under. ULM, they are 2-4 against the spread, 3-3 to the over-under. Guys, we've got some movement in our favor in this one. I will definitely take the Trojans here at -5.5. Troy got off to a slow start this season, definitely in that embarrassing bad offensive performance there against Memphis where they failed to score an offensive touchdown, but they've turned things around in a huge way. It all started for Troy with their fourth quarter home come from behind win at Buffalo. The Trojans have now won 3 straight. We've seen much better work there from their offense in recent weeks. They picked up an impressive upset win at Texas State last week, 48 points in the winning effort. UL Monroe heading in the wrong direction, losing 2 in a row in blowout fashion, including a disappointing 8-23 loss at Coastal Carolina in their last outing. Louisiana Monroe worse than Troy on both sides of the ball, including an offense that ranks 112th in the nation yards per game. Given how these teams are trending, I'll definitely be taking Troy, giving the points here as a much, much better team. Next on the docket, guys, we're going to be looking at one of the marquee games of the day. We've got number 5 Ole Miss going on the road to take on number 9 Georgia. Now, the Ole Miss Rebels, they're 6-0 on the season, haven't had the roughest schedule necessarily. Their best win by far was taking down LSU 24-19. Last week, definitely seems like they got caught up in a look-ahead spot. They did beat Washington State, but they won that game 24-21. So maybe everything's going to be fine now. Maybe that was just a look-ahead trap spot. But yeah, they struggled against that Washington State defense a little bit. I mean, the running game did well. The passing game did well. They just had, just only putting up 24 points is not necessarily an amazing performance. They also turned the ball over once. Not a great look there. They forced 0 turnovers of their own. Could have lost this game if we're being honest. And Washington State, while they're a decent team, definitely not a team I would categorize as, like ultra elite or anything like that. So definitely a little bit of a worrying performance there from Ole Miss. Over the course of the season, Ole Miss has obviously put up very good numbers. 8th in passing yards in the nation, 20th in points for, 34th in the nation in points against. They're in the top 30 in rushing yards per game as well. This is a very, very talented team. At least that's what it looks like here because they really aren't very tested. I know taking down LSU is a big deal, but we'll see. We'll see what they can do here going on the road against the Georgia Bulldogs, who come into this game 5-1 on the season. They've played a much tougher schedule. They've played Tennessee. They got a close win. They played Alabama, got a devastatingly close loss. They took down Kentucky, and then last week went into Auburn and got the 20-10 win. So a very impressive win there against a very tough Auburn team. Georgia, I mean, they got to love what they saw from, in general, at least from Gunnar Stockton. Didn't get picked off, 217 yards through the air, fairly efficient passing the ball, and running the ball worked as well. Now, it was tough. Going up against that Auburn Tigers defense is very, very tough. I think this is actually a step down in competition for Georgia, so I think they'll be able to move the ball a little bit better offensively, but the real strength of this team is defense. They gave up 137 passing yards last week against Auburn. Nuts. They did give up 140 rushing yards, but it took Auburn 36 attempts to get those rushing yards. Georgia also generated a turnover, and over the course of the year, this team is 18th in the nation in points against despite playing a tough schedule. They aren't an offensive juggernaut. That is true. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, Georgia, they are 7-point favorites. We've got a total of 56.5 in this game. Ole Miss, 4-2 against the spread, 3-3 to the over/under. Georgia, 2-4 against the spread, 3-3 to the over/under themselves. I've got 2 leans that I think are reasonable in this game. I will be leaning just slightly towards under 56.5 in this game. I don't think Georgia is going to let this turn into the track meet that Ole Miss would like it to be. So I think we'll see a little bit lower scoring of a game, and that makes the points have a little bit of value here to me. So I'm worried about the side. I would probably take the over more than I would take the side, but I will take Ole Miss here getting 7 points. I think they can make this a one-score game. Is this a lock? Is it going anywhere near the pinned comment? Probably not, but I do think that's where I'm going to be at on one of the biggest games of the day. Next on the docket, guys, we've got a bit of a deep cut. We're looking at the Old Dominion Monarchs going on the road to take on the James Madison Dukes. Now, Old Dominion comes into this game fresh off a tough loss there at Marshall. Over the course of the season, they are 4-2 with that loss against Marshall and a loss against IU, but they've taken care of business in the meantime, so we'll see what they can do here. Obviously, they need a bit of a bounce back after a rough game there against Marshall. Could have went a lot better. Colton Joseph, not a good day, getting picked off twice. We didn't like what we saw from anything really except for the running game. That was where they were able to find success, but a rough day out there defensively for sure, giving up 2 passing touchdowns, giving up 3 rushing touchdowns, and 223 yards on the ground without generating a single turnover is a rough day defensively. And the Old Dominion Monarchs are not necessarily a defensive juggernaut. I know they're 41st in the nation in points against, but I feel like that's a little bit of fake news given their strength of schedule. Although they have done some positive things, so maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh, but yeah, this is not a team that I'm super jazzed up about. Now they're taking on James Madison. They come into this game 5-1 on the season. Their only loss was at Louisville, and that was a competitive loss. They've taken down Liberty, Georgia Southern, Georgia State, and then last week a 24-14 win against UL, against the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Pretty solid stuff there from the Dukes overall. The passing game looked good. Barnett III, 3 touchdown passes. He was picked off once, but passed for nearly 300 yards. The running game, though, was nuts. Wayne Knight, 111 yards on 20 carries. Fuller, 50 yards on 12 carries. This team can really move the rock on the ground. And this game would have been a blowout if they hadn't fumbled the ball away twice and thrown 1 interception. Defensively, they looked great. Only giving up 14 points, generating a turnover of their own, limiting, maybe not stopping, but limiting the passing game and pretty much eliminating the running game there of the Raging Cajuns. So loved what we saw from James Madison last week. And looking at the numbers here, guys, they are 2.5-point favorites here at home. We've got a total of 47.5. Old Dominion is 4-2 against the spread. They're 3-3 to the over-under. James Madison is 4-2 against the spread. They are 6-0. 6-0 to the under this year. Guys, I'll definitely be taking James Madison here -2.5. This is a matchup that would have been even more intriguing if Old Dominion hadn't inexplicably lost to Marshall last week, but this should still be a good measuring stick game between 2 of the best teams in the group of 5. Last week was a look-ahead game for Old Dominion, but it's still tough losing 24-48 against a lower-tier opponent. It'll be interesting to see if the Monarchs can do what they can do this week going into the second leg of a back-to-back road trip. We were very high on James Madison to start the season because of the talent they brought in at the quarterback position, but it's actually been the defense that's lifted this squad, ranking 4th in the nation in yards allowed. We feel like JMU has a higher ceiling that they haven't reached yet, even with their 5-1 start to the year, and this is a great opportunity for the Dukes to pick up a resume-building win as they try and make a run at the college football playoff. With more on the line, we like the home team to come through with the cover. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at number 4, Texas A&M. The Aggies are going on the road to take on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Now, Texas A&M has looked pretty comfortably like one of the best teams in college football. They're 6-0 on the season. They've got wins over Notre Dame, Auburn, Mississippi State, and Florida. Last week, a 34-17 win there against Florida. Pretty solid stuff. They were at home for this game. Marcel Reed, only 234 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but the running game was fully online. 3 rushing touchdowns there for Texas A&M, including 1 from Marcel Reed. We also, I don't know, the offense looked really sharp in that game against a decent opponent, not an elite opponent. Now, defensively, they did give up 2 passing touchdowns and 245 yards, but they pretty much stopped the running attack. They also generated 2 turnovers in this game, so a pretty solid day out there from a pretty solid-looking Texas A&M team that I doubt anybody is stoked to be facing here anytime soon. We'll see what they do here going on the road against Arkansas. The Razorbacks, they're only 2-4 on the season. Now, they've played a pretty rough schedule. They've already played Ole Miss. They lost that one 41-35. They lost to Memphis. That's a pretty bad-looking loss. They got obliterated by then number 22 Notre Dame, losing that game 56-13. And then last week, going into Tennessee, a 34-31 loss there at number 12 Tennessee. Now, how good are the Volunteers this year? We're going to have to kind of wait and see. It was a pretty big game there from the Razorbacks. I mean, Taylon Green, 2 touchdown passes, 256 yards through the air. No interceptions, but not enough to get the job done. Mike Washington Jr., a great day on the ground, 131 yards on 19 carries. They had 2 rushing touchdowns there. Taylon Green also had a touchdown on the ground, but they fumbled the ball away 3 times. That it was a killer. And the defense, it was okay. I mean, they gave up 34 points, obviously, so that's not ideal. It generated 0 turnovers and really, really couldn't stop the run. Something that has to be a bit of a concern here going up against a Texas A&M team that can run the ball through the traditional running game. They can also have Marcel Reed take off and run it for them as well. So, looking at the numbers here, guys, the Razorbacks are getting 7.5 points at home. We've got a total of 58.5 in this game. Texas A&M 3-3 against the spread, 4-2 to the over. Arkansas 2-4 against the spread, 4-2 to the over themselves. I'm not interested in the total in this game really, but I will be taking Texas A&M here minus 7.5. I'd obviously like the Aggies even more at a touchdown or less, but we understand the spread being over a touchdown given how these squads have played this season. Texas A&M has been a top-tier performer in the SEC, and what's even more intriguing for the Aggies is their offense continues to show increased improvement. Texas A&M has had the advantage of a home-heavy schedule, that is true, but the Aggies have also proven themselves on the road, getting one of the best resume road wins of anyone in the nation, beating Notre Dame in South Bend. Things have completely fallen off the rails for Arkansas. They've lost 4 straight, fired their head coach. Against a common opponent, Notre Dame, Arkansas looked terrible, and losing 13-56. Arkansas has been one of the worst defensive teams in the Power 4, ranking 120th in the nation yards allowed. Given how these teams have been trending over the past month, we definitely have to take Texas A&M here, giving the points. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Washington State Cougars going on the road to take on number 18 Virginia. Now, Washington State, they're 3-3 on the season. They're coming off what can only really be called a good loss. They went into Ole Miss, lost that game 24-21. Over the course of the season, they've had some good games. They've had some bad games, blowing out San Diego State, but then losing to North Texas in a blowout, giving up 59 points in a loss against Washington. They beat Colorado State 20-3. Congrats on that. By far, their best game of the season has been that 24-21 loss there at Ole Miss. Now, in that game, we just loved what we saw. It looked like a different Washington State team. I mean, quarterback play on point, no interceptions, 2 touchdown passes, 218 yards. The running game also looked excellent. It combined 127 yards on 28 carries and a touchdown there, and that's at Ole Miss, guys. Very, very good stuff. They turned the ball over 0 times. Excellent work. Now, defensively, giving up only 24 points against Ole Miss looks good as well. They didn't generate any interceptions. They did struggle a little bit, well, maybe a lot against the running game would be more correct, but they kept this game attached. They generated a fumble in this one, and only giving up 24 points in a matchup like that is very respectable stuff. Now, over the course of the season, their numbers don't exactly look incredible, but we just loved what we saw from them last week. Will that all be flash in the pan? We'll see. They are about to play their 3rd straight road game, so that can be a little bit daunting of a task. They're going to be taking on the Virginia Cavaliers, who are currently 18th in the nation. They come into this game 5-1 on the season, fresh off a 30-27 win over Louisville, which looks even better after what we just saw Louisville do here on a Friday night. Now, in that win, obviously that was very impressive. They also beat Florida State, a Florida State team that's not looking quite as good anymore. In that win at Louisville, they only won by 3 in overtime, so obviously as close as it could possibly get. We liked what we saw in terms of quarterback play, although Chandler Morris, not my favorite quarterback, I will say that. 1 touchdown pass, 149 yards, nothing too special. The offense in general didn't get that much done. I mean, 149 yards to the air, 88 yards on the ground. Not exactly a monster offensive performance. The defense that looked very, very good, generating a couple turnovers. They did slow down the running game, basically eliminated the running game, but couldn't really stop the passing attack, which is a bit of a concern here going up against Washington State. So we'll see what the Cavaliers can do in this one. They are 17.5-point favorites at home. We've got a total of 55.5. Washington State, they're 3-3 against the spread, 3-3 the over-under. Virginia, they're 1-5 against the spread. They're 4-1-1 to the over. Guys, I'll be taking Washington State, getting all those points. They've quietly been playing much better ball as of late, beating Colorado State 20-3, a near upset in their last outing there, falling at Ole Miss by that 21-24 total we were talking about. Feel like Washington State has figured things out, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. That makes them a much tougher out going forward. This isn't an easy spot for the Cougars going into the second leg of a back-to-back road trip, but we're getting a ton of points to compensate us for that. We've been higher than anyone on Virginia this season, that is true, but the Cavaliers simply haven't been consistently good enough on the defensive side of the ball for us to have confidence in taking them giving this many points against a very adequate opponent. Virginia will almost certainly grab the win, but given what Washington State has shown in recent weeks, I think the Cougars getting that many points is definitely a potential dog of the day. Next on the docket, guys, we got one of the biggest evening games in college football this week. We're looking at the number 20 USC Trojans as they go on the road to take on number 13 Notre Dame. The Trojans are 5-1 on the season. They come into this game fresh off a monster 31-13 win there over Michigan. They definitely needed that as a bounce back after losing there at Illinois. Not that Illinois sucks. Illinois is pretty decent, but that win against Michigan, definitely a good look. Obviously being at home and Michigan being in a tough travel spot helped the Trojans. We didn't necessarily love what we saw in terms of quarterback play. I mean, 25-32 looks great, but getting picked off once, only 265 yards, 2 passing touchdowns. I'm not going to throw you a parade for that performance, although it obviously wasn't terrible. We loved what we saw from King Miller running the ball. 18 carries, 158 yards, and a touchdown. Very, very good stuff. The USC ground game looked very, very solid in this game. Defensively, I mean, they gave up only 13 points, so that was great. They did turn the ball over twice. That wasn't great. They generated 2 turnovers of their own, though, so canceling those out, a big deal. I do think the Trojans definitely benefited from Michigan being a little bit exhausted in, a really, really brutal travel spot. But overall, it was a good day for the Trojans defense, a defense that hasn't necessarily been incredible this season. I will say that. We'll see what they can do in this one. Obviously, over the course of the season, they are 50th in the nation in points against. So we'll see what they can do to slow down the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who are now 4-2 on the season, losing at Miami in week 1 by a field goal, then losing against Texas A&M by 1 point in week 2. Fairly excusable losses. Their wins over the last 4 weeks have been very comfortable affairs. A 56-30 win against Purdue, a 56-13 win at Arkansas, a 28-7 win over Boise State, and then last week a 36-7 win against NC State, not letting any of those games be very competitive. CJ Carr looked good, maybe not amazing, but good last week. 2 touchdown passes, 342 yards to the air. He was picked off once, though. The running game looked elite. Love and Price looking great. 86 and 66 yards respectively. 2 rushing touchdowns in there as well. There was 1 turnover, so 2 total turnovers for the Irish. Something to clean up there, but the defense was looking great. Gave up only 7 points, generated 3 interceptions in the game, shut down the running game, and obviously made the passing game look pretty silly there. So a monster day defensively there from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Definitely something for them to feel very, very good about coming into this one. And over the course of the season, their numbers are obviously amazing. They're 14th in college football, averaging 40 points per game. They're 46th in points against, giving up only 20 per game. The passing numbers, the running numbers, they all look good. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, the Fighting Irish are actually 9.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 61 in this game. The Trojans, they're 3-3 against the spread. They're 4-2 to the over. Notre Dame, 3-3 against the spread, 4-2 to the over themselves. 61 is just too big of a number for me. I'm not going to take the over in this game, but I will be taking Notre Dame here to get the win and cover at home. This is a lot of points to give against a top 25 opponent, but Notre Dame has earned that respect with how they've been playing as of late. The Irish have been one of the hottest teams in the nation over the past month with very strong showings on both sides of the ball in their recent wins against Arkansas, Boise State, and NC State. Notre Dame has had a great home field advantage that helps for sure that USC could be a bit travel fatigued with how often they've needed to head to the Midwest for their conference games. This is a potential letdown spot for USC coming off that massive win, that 31-13 win over Michigan, and it'll be interesting to see how the Trojans are able to refocus here. USC didn't look all that great in their last road game, giving up 502 yards of offense to Illinois in their losing effort against the Illini. We're going to ride the hot hand here and take Notre Dame to come through with the big-time win and cover. Guys, that's all the games we have here for today on a very, very big slate of college football action. Do me a big favor, hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here, and let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I'm more than happy to answer every single one of your comments that I can possibly get to. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you're clicking the link in the description to get over there to stumpthespread.com. Check out all the premium picks we have over there. A loaded day of premium action on the college football and NHL side. Tons of other stuff mixed in there as well. And NBA right around the corner. It's a great time to be in the mix. Tons of NFL plays coming up on Sunday as well. And that's where you'll find us right back here, same time, same place tomorrow, where we will be breaking down the entire NFL slate there for Sunday.